Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jenna, and today we're going to be trying Kaleidos Cosmetics for the first time. Now, Kaleidos Cosmetics is a little bit more of an indie brand. I've heard a decent amount about them online through YouTube and so forth. I think especially from Lauren May Beauty, her channel. I like her channel a lot. She does some really in-depth reviews, and she does a lot of more indie brands, which I find really interesting. You know, it's a little bit of a variation on content that you see from some of the mass YouTubers and so forth. Now, one thing to note, this brand is based in China, which sometimes gets a bad rep, but it is considered a cruelty-free brand. China, I believe, does not require animal testing if the makeup is made in China, but if a company wants to sell in China and they're not based in China, they require animal testing. So I believe that is the controversy. So this brand does manufacture in China, I believe, but is cruelty-free, does not do animal testing. From my best educated research guess. You know, I can't guarantee anything, but this is the information I have received. Now, because it is based in China, it did take a very long time to get to me, and it does tell you that on the website, that it does take 21 days to receive your items. I believe there are some expedited shipping options. I did not pay for the extra expedited shipping, so it did take about a solid 4 weeks to get to me, because that 21 days is technically business days, so about 4 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. And it did come right in the promised time. So Kaleidos Cosmetics was started in 2018 by the beauty blogger Zoe Poo. She founded the company with her boyfriend and one of his friends, so the three of them founded the company together. And all of their products are considered vegan except for one, and that is the eye primer, because it contains beeswax. Now, because this is an indie brand, there aren't a lot of products. There isn't a wide array of products to choose from. But a lot of the products that they do have are crazy beautiful. And that's what drew me in, is the pigmentation on the shadows, the color stories, and the packaging. Oh my gosh, guys. The packaging stole my heart. It is literally, like, to me, it looks like works of art. And not just the art on the outside, but the way certain things are packaged as well are really interesting. And that's something that I really appreciate about this brand. And then the color stories of the palettes and of the highlighters as well are also really interesting and different. And they're doing really cool things. Now, I will tell you, I got 3 of the eyeshadow palettes, 2 of their highlighters, and I did get the eyeshadow primer. I did not get any of their beauty tools. They do have some beauty tools available, and they do have lip products, which I did not get anything of because I wasn't a fan of the lip products that they had. Like I said, their options are limited. I believe they only had 2 lip sets available. Yeah, you could buy sets of 4 lipsticks for $35. There are 2 collections that they have available, the Flora Noir and the Sandcastle collections. And they were both kind of basic. I believe they were liquid lipsticks, and you know, I don't really use a ton of lipsticks. I didn't want to commit to buying 4, especially when they were pretty basic and I had similar shades in my collection. They also have a blue agave softening lip mask on their website for $8. I didn't get that either. I didn't think that would tell me enough about their lip products for me to justify buying just to say I bought a lip product. Kaleidos Cosmetics also does have contour palettes called Charisma Contours, and there's 3 different shades. I didn't buy that either, again, because the shades were limited, and I'm not a huge fan of contours. I have like 3 or 4 that are my go-to. There's 3 shades in each of the palettes, and they come in cool and light, warm and medium, and warm and deep, and they're $18 a piece if you're interested. They also have brushes, blenders, makeup cases, and holders for your desk, and some other little accessories. But again, that didn't really tell me much about the makeup and the quality and the brand itself, so I skipped that for now. So I'll start with their highlighters. I did get 2 of their highlighters. They're called their Space Age highlighters, and there are 10 in the collection. 9 out of the 10 highlighters go for $14, and maybe I'll pop some of the colors on the screen to show you how pretty they are. But they have one specialty highlighter called Space Age Prophecy that is $36. So it's more than twice the price of the regular highlighters. And I was trying to research what it is about this highlighter that makes it so much more expensive, because it didn't look like it was any bigger, I don't believe, based on what I could tell from the website. But apparently it's a different formula that has 4 different hues within it. It's not even just a duochrome, it has 4 different color reflections in it. The ingredients were special reflective shimmers to create this 4-shift glow, and they only sell a limited amount of them each week because of how limited the ingredients are. So once they hit their quota for the week, it's out of stock till the next week when they can produce more. And specifically, these pigments are supposed to shift between the red and orange segment of the rainbow, which is supposed to be one of the more difficult ones to capture, and especially to capture all 4 colors in. You tell me if you think, based on the photo, because I know it's hard to tell from photos, whether or not it looks like it should be that much more expensive than the rest of them. Because I can't really decide. I was curious, I almost thought about buying it because I wanted to see what the difference was, but I wanted to try the regular highlighters first and decide if I liked those enough before I went ahead and spent the extra money for their specialty highlighter. Now, all of the regular highlighters have really cool space age names. They're a lot of fun, like Moon Cruiser, Skywalker, Comet Crusher, all sorts of cute names. So, and there were a lot of really pretty ones. It was hard for me to choose, and the only reason I chose the 2 that I did was because at the time they were selling for a special deal. You got 2 for $20, so you got a big discount on the second one. There wasn't an option of which 2 you got in this bundle set. It was a predetermined bundle that came with the shades Star Surfer and the original Mars Melter. So there are 2 Mars Melters on the website. One, I guess, is their original formulation, and the other is, I guess, an updated formulation. The original formulation, from what I can tell from the photos, seems to have a little bit more of a pink shift, and the new one seems to have a little bit more of like a peachy coral shift. There's pink in there as well, but it's a little more corally. So I don't think it would be necessary to have both, but again, I haven't tried both, so I can't say for sure. And you can get a complete set of the highlighters minus the original Mars Melter. All you'll get is the updated Mars Melter plus the $36 Space Age Prophecy for $119. So the 2 highlighters that I got, like I said, are Star Surfer. Here's the outer packaging for Star Surfer. And the original Mars Melter. I like the inner packaging of these highlighters. I think they're different. They're in metal tins that look like this. And they have cool graphic designs on the outside of them. And this one is a matte metal tin. And this is what Mars Melter looks like in the package. You really can't see on the screen, but up close in the package, it does have a pink shift. And Mars Melter was really beautiful on the skin. It did have a really pretty pinky shift. There was a peachy tone in there as well, so it shifted from peach to pink. It was really gorgeous. It wasn't overpowering, but on my face you could see like a little bit of a pink tint. I have some video of it on my cheeks as well. And I really liked it. I thought it was nice. Like with any highlighter, any powder product, it does show a little bit of texture on your skin, but that's to be expected when you use powder products, especially highlighting powder products. You know, I felt it was finely milled. There was a little bit of glitteriness to it, but it didn't look, when you looked at my face, it didn't look like chunks of glitter on your face. It just caught glitteriness in the light as you moved a little bit. And this is a more basic looking, very Very pale pink in the package, pale pinky peach. I would say it's a regular shimmer. It's not a duochrome. It's not super glittery. It's not super metallic. It's just a basic shimmer highlighter. And that's how it plays on the face as well. It gives a nice sheen. It doesn't give a lot of color. It's not super glittery. I do have it on my cheeks now. As you can see, it's nothing overdone, but it does a pretty job. I liked both of them, and especially getting the set for $20, paying $10 for each of these, I think were worth it, especially since the packaging is so super gorgeous and the product itself seems to be very good quality. I think they're worth getting. And even for $14, even if you didn't want these two, even if you were to buy them individually because you like different shades, I still think they are worth $14 because, again, the packaging's high quality. It's very beautiful to look at. The formula is really nice. There are some interesting shifts, interesting colors, and I think they're fun. So I definitely give these my stamp of approval. Kaleidos Cosmetics has 3 eyeshadow collections. They have the Escape Pod, they have the Flower Punk palette, and then they have the Futurism palettes. And in the Futurism palettes, there are several different palettes in that collection, while the Escape Pod and the Flower Punk are just single palettes in those collections. Currently, there's only 4 Futurism palettes available, but there has been a total of 7 Futurism palettes that they've done. I don't know if the other 3 were discontinued or if they're just currently sold out at the moment, but currently on the website, none of them are listed. And the ones that are currently not available are Futurism 1, which is called Sci-Fi Green, and that's a bunch of mustard and olive tones. And then Futurism 2, which is called Cyber Bronze, which has a bunch of neutrals along with a silver shade and a red shade. And then Futurism 4, which is called VR Neon. I'm assuming virtual reality neon. And that's just a bunch of brights and rainbow colors. Now, the 4 that are currently available on the website are Futurism 7, which is called Sashimi City, and that's a neutrals palette. It's more like warm neutrals. I'll throw it up on the screen. And then the 3 that I have, Futurism 3, Astro-pink, Futurism 5, electro-turquoise, and Futurism 6, lunar lavender. Now, when I purchased these 3, I bought them in a bundle of 3. You could pick any 3 of the ones available for $59, and these were the 3 I picked because I didn't need another warm neutrals palette. But that pick 3 package is no longer available. They just have a bundle of all 4 Futurism palettes, and that is going for $79. All the Futurism palettes are $24, and they come with 6 shades. Now, 2 out of the 3 palettes that I got are considered pressed pigment palettes, and for those who don't know, pressed pigment palettes are called such because they're not considered suitable for the eye area, and that is only because they can cause staining on the skin, not because they're unsafe for the eye or they're dangerous in any way, shape, or form, just because they can stain the skin. So astro-pink and electro-turquoise are pressed pigment, and lunar lavender is just an eyeshadow palette. At least from what I can tell, nowhere on the palette does it say that it's a pressed pigment, so my assumption that it is a regular eyeshadow palette. So let's start with Futurism 5, electro-turquoise. This is the outside packaging. And this is the least interesting outer packaging of any of the eyeshadow palettes that I've got. The inner packaging looks like. I love it. It's reflective, holographic, beautiful colors. This is what I mean. This packaging, look at, even on this camera, which doesn't always show how beautiful things are. Look at that. Look at that. Can you see why I'm completely enthralled? And this isn't even the most beautiful one, but I love it. And I love turquoise. It's my favorite color. It is magnetic. It's a strong magnetic. As you can see, I'm kind of fighting to get it open. It opens this way. Ooh. Sorry, that was the shade protector. And this is what the inside of electro-turquoise looks like. These make great little travel palettes. They're very compact, thin. They don't take up a lot of space. They got a little mirror. I think that's a great feature of these palettes. So we have shade-wise Wired, Digital instead of digital, Tron, Voltaic is the orange shade, Force Fields is the light teal shade, and Shockwave. And the Shockwave color is like a silvery champagne-y glitter shimmer. Now most of these shades are really pigmented, really beautiful. Force Field, the light teal shade, is a little less pigmented than I expected. But I liked it. It was still nice. It made for a good blending shade with the darker teals and so forth. So it was kind of nice that it wasn't super pigmented, but if you're expecting it to go on the skin looking like the exact shade that's in there, it doesn't come out that bright. You can build it up to that a little bit, and I'm sure if I put a straight white base on the bottom, I could get more color payoff with it. But that was the only one from this palette specifically that I noticed did not have immediate payoff the way the others did. The shimmers are really pretty magical in all of these palettes across the board. Shockwave was nice. It did a good job. It wasn't as special on the skin as I thought it was going to be looking at it in the pan, but it was still really pretty, and I did still like it. It does make for a great inner corner highlight, or just for like a topper shade to get a little glisten on top of your lids, but it is very nice. So if you like the shades in this palette, I do recommend it. Next I have Futurism 6 Lunar Lavender. This is the outside packaging. So this one has a little more interest on the outside. The way you open the outer packaging is different. You don't open it from the top like you did with the other one. You open it from the bottom here. There's a tab, and this comes up. And the paper unfolds to reveal the palette. And this is what Lunar Lavender looks like on the outside. Almost looks like a lavender and pink seascape kind of. It's really pretty. And it opens the same way the other one did. And that's what it looks like on the inside. I don't know about you, but are you looking at these color stories and just being like blown away with how pretty these colorful mattes are, and then how gorgeous these shimmers are? Come on. The turquoise in the last one, and look at this beautiful purple one that shifts kind of bluey. It's actually a more lavender color looking at it in person, like a deep lavender or like a lilac, but on screen it's coming off purple. And this one here is a little more pinky in person, but it's coming off more purple on camera. Oh, so pretty, so pretty. These shades are Nocturnal, Moonroof, Dreamscape, Midnight Flora, Wisteria, and Crater Grove. I wish that the packaging had the names on the packaging rather than this, so I didn't have to keep these little inserts, because I always tend to throw these away. I can understand maybe why they didn't, because it's so pretty and clean without writing on it, but now I have to keep this dumb little thing. Now again, all these shades were really beautiful when I used them. Again, I think the light purple, which is the Wisteria shade, this one, isn't as immediately pigmented, but it is still more pigmented than the light teal shade from the first palette. I got good pigmentation on all of these. I didn't get a lot of fallout. There was a little fallout with the shimmer shades. Those are the ones you do have to watch out for. They do have a little bit of fallout, but I was able to easily brush it away with a brush. There's not a lot of kick up in the pan when you're brushing it around. You get a little bit like you do with almost anything. There's like almost nothing. I don't even think you can see that. And I got a decent amount on my brush. Almost nothing. The shimmer shades don't pick up well on fluffy brushes. They do pick up some, but not a lot. But that's not too uncommon. I found when I used a flatter brush like this, I was able to get good pigmentation with some of the shimmers. Some of the shimmers are a little thicker, a little more crumbly, flakier. Those ones don't pick up as well dry on a brush, but they do all do really well with the finger application. Or if you wet the brush and go in, you get good pigmentation. These two I think are a little thicker. Two of the thicker ones that don't go as well on the brush. So there is a little bit of variation with their shimmer and metallic shades because some of them are a little more of a shimmer, a finer shimmer formula, and some of them are a little bit thicker and flakier, a little more glittery. They're not glitters. That flakier, more glittery texture that some intense shimmers can get. So there's a little variation there. And then the final palette is Futurism 3 Astro-Pink. And this is my favorite outer packaging. It's so beautiful. I don't know if I think it looks like a galaxy or if it looks like the inside of a geode. And this one also opens from the bottom flap as well. And the box folds out like that. This is what the inner packaging looks like. So gorgeous. Ugh. I love it. And has the soft matte touch feeling to it. I'm in love with just the visuals of this entire collection, the palettes especially. And this is what Astro-Pink looks like. And I mean, these are just basic neutrals, but I love that color story right there. I almost wish that one of these neutrals wasn't in here and that there was like another beautiful color in there. I don't know what else I would want. I just love this so much that I think one more pop of color would have thrown me over the edge. I guess it's probably better that it didn't. But look at that. Look how pretty. Ugh, and the packaging, the way. Oh, thank God these shadows are beautiful. And I don't have to feel bad about loving them and wanting to keep them because of how beautiful they look. Because I don't know that I could have parted with these even if the shadows sucked. Just because of how gorgeous they are to look at. And don't judge me. I know we all have products that we bought just because of the packaging or just because of how pretty the color looks in the package. We all fall for the aesthetics of things. It happens. Leave me alone. So the shades are Cosmos, Neptune, Nebula, Lightyear, Stardust, and Lunar. Now this is like a pale pink, pale silvery lavender shimmer. This is the one that I was talking about that I was able to pick up on that flat brush really easily and pack a lot of pigment. It's actually this shade on my eye. So that one works really well. This formula works really well. And this one as well is a similar formula. It's not as chunky and flaky as the two shimmers in the other palette. So that one works pretty well with a flatter brush too. I don't have this one on my eyes except a little bit on my lower lash line. And I don't know if you can tell, but this shade shifts from purple to blue and it has like a black base underneath it. It's really gorgeous. The Nebula shade is the beautiful magenta purple shade on my eyes, and then I have the Cosmos black shade on my outer corner. There is glitter in the Cosmos shade. To be honest, the glitter didn't stay on my eyes. It just looks like a black matte, but it is a beautifully pigmented black matte. As you can see, I've been wearing this for several hours already, and the black is still very pigmented. And this is a blown out version of it. So it's a very nice black matte, even though the glitter looks pretty in the packaging, it doesn't stay on your eyes. But other than that, it's still a great shade and still worthwhile. And I just used the Lunar shade in my crease and like a little bit of a crease blending shade. But overall, I love those shadows. Like I said, great pigmentation, not a lot of fallout, barely any kick up, several different formulas, all very beautiful, great color stories. You know how I feel about the packaging. Definitely worth $24 if you like the color stories in them. I don't think, you need to rush out and get these just because they're pretty if the color stories don't draw you in. All right, and the last thing that I got is their tone activating eye primer. Now this is the one product, remember I said that isn't vegan because it has beeswax, and it goes for $10. You get 12 grams for $10, which is a good deal for an eye primer. And it's supposed to be crease proof, water resistant, smudge proof, and it's supposed to make their colors pop. It's supposed to make them brighter. Now, I tried their shadows out with 3 different primers to really give it a test. I tried with their primer, and I don't feel like it gave any more of a color pop than the other primers that I used. If it was only slightly. I'm going to do some swatches here in a minute comparing so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. But I didn't find it to be like boom pow when I put it over this primer the way it was made to sound. I don't know about waterproof or water resistant. I didn't cry and it wasn't in the rain when I was wearing this shadow. When I was wearing this primer, but it was not crease proof and it was not smudge proof. It honestly did not do very well. I wore these shadows to work, and from the time I put it on till the time I got home to take it off, it is about 14 to 15 hours for me. But even before that, so that is a long time, but I was checking on it before that, and even before that, I would say around the 10-hour mark, half the shades were worn off. I have a video of it. I'll show you here. Half the shades were worn off in some areas. There was creasing. It looked messy. It looked like the shades had fallen off my eye in certain areas. It was like patchy and weird. It was really like not good. And I don't think I did anything that I shouldn't have done. You know, I wasn't sweating profusely. I didn't rub my eyes. I'm very careful about that. If you're going to be wearing this for long periods of time, at least for my eyes, it didn't work well with my eye skin, my eye chemistry, etc. I don't think it's good for long wear, crease-proof wear. Now, I do have very hooded eyes, so my eyes can get very creasy. So, to be fair, my eyes are harder to prevent creasing and smudging because the skin from up here touches down here. I have like creases, 2 creases in the front, as well as, you know, the regular crease. So maybe this would work better for you if you don't have hooded eyes or if you don't have oily eyes. It definitely isn't a product that I'm going to be using again. Now, just to make sure that it wasn't the shadows that are the problem, I did try these shadows with 2 different eyeshadow bases. My 2 go-tos. So I used the MAC Paint Pot the second time around in the shade Painterly. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos, this hasn't been working as well on me in the summer. It's been a little creasy. This used to be my smudge-proof, crease-proof, like most hardcore go-to product. But for some reason, the past like 5 months or whatever, it's been creasing on me, and I'm not sure why. And the same thing happened with these shades. So they weren't falling off in patches. They weren't worn away the way they were with the Kaleidos primer, but it did get a little creasy in the front and just a touch worn where the creases were on the side. So it did a little better with this, but still not as solidly as I would have liked. So I gave it one more shot, and I tried it with my Urban Decay priming potion, which has been the eye primer that has worked the best for me as of recently, and I didn't have any problems. There was barely any creasing at the end of my 15-hour day. Again, all 3 times I wore them to work where it was going to be 14, 15-hour days so that it would be a fair and even trial. And at the end of the 15-hour day, this one looked a lot better. There was barely any creasing, barely any wearing. The shadows stayed mostly in place. The color pigmentation was still where I wanted it to be. So it did really well with this. So considering that for me, this has been the most consistent shadow base to work with my shadows, that is what tells me that these shadows are good because they worked just as well with this primer. Now, if they didn't work well with this primer and they didn't work well with the other two primers, I would say maybe the shadows don't last. Maybe the shadows have a problem with creasing. It was kind of trash with the Kaleidos primer. It did pretty good with the MAC Paint Pot, and it did just as good as all my other shadows do. Maybe even better than some of them with my go-to primer that usually works for my eyes. So I don't think the creasing and fallout problems were the shadow's fault. I think it was related to the primers I was using. I don't know that this is going to be a very universal primer for people out there. Even though it's made to work with these shadows, it's not made to work with all eye types, skin types, etc. So just keep that in mind. Again, like I said, it's not too expensive, so it's not wasting a ton of money to try it, but just be careful. And that is it for my first time trying Kaleidos Cosmetics. I love the shadows. The highlighters are great. I would buy more of them in the future, and I would definitely buy more shadows if I find palettes that wow me as much as these beauties did. I'm glad I have them in my collection. I think they're gorgeous. I think they're good quality, and they were definitely worth my money. So what do you guys think? Have you guys tried Kaleidos? Do you feel the same way I do? Did you have as much difficulty with the eye primer as I did? Or does that just have more to do with my eye shape and my eye skin? Very well could be. Let me know what you think down below. Tell me which palette is your favorite, and tell me which highlighter is your favorite. If you've tried other highlighters from the ones that I have, let me know which one you like. Which one is most magical to you? Because I might get more, and I'm just unsure what shade to get because some of them are kind of similar, and I don't want to get one that's going to be similar to the ones that I have. I want to get something a little more interesting, a little more different. So if you have recommendations, put it in the comments down below. If you like this video, think about hitting the like button and think about subscribing. I would love to have you here. If not, I'm just glad you came by. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again in the future. Thanks, guys.